Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've bought a brand new Jaguar XJR, and if you want to skip to the driving, just hit this timestamp here. But if not, let's have a quick look around. This one is an X308 XJR. It's going to replace the XJ8 I have at the moment, which is a 3.2 naturally aspirated V8. But this one is a supercharged 4-litre V8, so it's got a lot of power, 370 brake, and it holds up well considering it's 23 years old. And this is basically a little bit of a project car. There's a few bits I need doing to it. Mirrors, for example. We've got a bit of rust that I need to take care of on either side. There's a few little bits, little dings, a couple of dents, but other than that, the car is mechanically working awesome. There we go, nice little supercharged V8. I've put this huge intake cone on there already so you can get a little bit of whine when you've got your foot down. Got some good plans for this thing. I'm definitely going to be putting that straight piped exhaust on quite imminently. But without further ado, let's fire this thing up and take you for a little drive. There's a few little things wrong with the interior. For example, this little drinks holder bit doesn't stay shut. Car is very dirty. I did clean it, but you know, just dirt happens. Right then, just to demonstrate the power, we'll do a quick little sort of 0 to 60 thing. Obviously I'm going to stop just before 60, but we're in sport gearbox mode. I'm just going to put my foot flat and you'll see what happens. So here we go. Bit of traction. So quick, it's actually ridiculous. Like, this is 23 years old and it pulls like that. Like, it's just actually so funny. It's so good. I just can't believe it. The fact that it can compete with like actual quick modern cars and do quite a lot of them, and it's just dead silent. It's so funny. I actually just realised my windscreen's quite dirty, and that's probably not going to be very nice for you to watch, so I'm going to clean that quick. Right then, now that that's a little bit nicer to look at, let's carry on. Right then, so we're just going to pull out on this road, go right, and we just got to wait for this traffic. It's a little bit of a dodgy pull out here. You can't really see around that corner, but looks like we got an opening. Yes, we do. So let's get going. What are the differences between the XJ8 and the XJR of this year and model? Well, we've got uprated suspension, so it's a lot stiffer. It holds the corners way better. There's really quite a lot of body roll on the XJ8, obviously, so that's set up to be pure comfort spec. Soft suspension, huge tyres, whereas on these we've got some 18-inch ones with lower profile tyres. Gives you more of a feel of the ground. The steering in general, it's a lot stiffer. It's just a nice car to drive. It feels more modern, it feels sportier, which makes sense. Obviously a big main change is an upgrade from the 3.2 litre to the 4 litre V8, and they slapped a supercharger on there. 370 brake horsepower, and I believe somewhere around 500 newton meters of torque. Obviously with the supercharger, the power is pretty much instant when you hit the throttle. Obviously going to be different to a turbo car where you've got to wait for that lag, but it is just really nice feeling. And not to mention the fact that this car just drives so nicely when you're not got your foot flat, which is quite hard to do really, considering that nice feeling that 370 brake creates when it's throwing you in the back of your seat. Yeah, just an awesome car. Another thing this one has is cruise control. I know some of the XJ8s did have that, but my specific one didn't. We've also got the sport gearbox button, again same to the XJ8. I believe it just makes the car rev longer. There is some other differences I can notice when I'm driving and it's in sport compared to when it's turned off, but I can't really put my finger on it, if that makes sense. I think just the gear changes are snappier. It might drop 2 gears rather than just 1 if you put your foot down, things like that. But yeah, just a really nice car. I got it for about double the price I got the XJ8. Obviously it's quite cheap for one of these. on Auto Trader, if you find like a really good condition one, they're going for about 8 to 10 grand. So this one is definitely a bit of a fixer-upper, but hopefully I can get all these bits done on it and get it back to its sort of immaculate former glory condition. And who knows what I might do with it after that. Might end up selling it, or just keep it as a nice little show car and actually do the build that I wanted to do. But since we're coming out of this 30 into this 60, let's just really gets going. It's just incredible, and I just love the longer it gets into the revs, the more power it seems to give. It's just so sick, but not in the same way that the turbo does that, if that makes sense. Like, it just keeps building in this nice sort of straight linear power graph, if that makes sense. Fuel economy, obviously way worse than the naturally aspirated V8, especially if you've got your foot constantly to the floor. I feel like if you drove this normally, it would probably be better than the naturally aspirated one, simply because of the supercharger. But I have read some things about superchargers being quite an inefficient way of forcing induction. I'm not 100% sure on that. But we've got, what else have we got in here? We've got some Harman Kardon speakers, which I believe are meant to be good. They are better than the ones in the XJ8, but still probably nothing on a modern car stereo system. We've got this nice little internal clock, and pretty much all of it other than that is just the same to the other car. So if you want to check that video out, it should be up here somewhere. And I do actually need to put that aircon on because it is boiling today, and I'm trying to do it with minimal noise in here, but that's just too much. So we can give it a nice bit more of an open up down these roads. We're back into a 60 now. Obviously we won't be driving dangerously, but you can get a sense of the power. It's just so good to just touch the throttle. Like, the response is crazy. You don't really have to do much on the throttle, and it gives you the same amount of power that like putting your foot flat would have given me in the XJ8. It's just incredible. Obviously once I get that exhaust done, it's going to be sounding the part as well. A lot of people don't really like the fact that I made the Jag that loud. They like to think that it was made to be silent, which is quite true, but you just can't beat a roaring V8, can you? Like, there's no exhaust sound that's better than a V8 in my opinion. Like, nothing tops it. And especially when you snap a whining supercharger on there and you just do huge flybys past people, and you just get that sick whine as it's coming, and then that huge bellowing roar of the 8 cylinders out the back as it goes past. Just can't beat it. The car's on 85,000 miles, pretty low mileage considering the age, and also the V8 itself pretty much just broken in, so hopefully it's going to have a lot more life ahead of it. But with me driving it, wouldn't be surprised if it blows up in a week. You've got to pull out of this junction now, which is not the best. I actually might go left and we'll do a little bit of a loop back to where we just were. That actually caught me off guard. I hadn't realised it stayed in first gear. I thought it would be in second. Bloody hell, that is actually just so good. I've seen some videos of this being like raced on a track. I don't think I'd ever do it because this is just too much of a nice car in my opinion to thrash about on a track. We can make use of the cruise control here now that we're in a 30 actually. So we can just take our foot away from the accelerator and let it do its thing. But as you can see, even just cruising at 30, no issues whatsoever. Wow, I'm actually burning my throat, I'm talking that much. That guy was quite sort of close, really, wasn't he? It's had a service to the supercharger, so we're not going to have to worry about the pulley on there breaking anytime soon. Last service, sort of full service, was at, I believe, 78,000 miles, so it's probably realistically due one around now. It's probably better to get it done early rather than later, so that's definitely on the agenda for things to do. And other than that, I want to try and do most of the bits on this car myself at home, so I'm not sure how well that's going to go. I'm planning to do the rust repair pretty soon, but I'm just sort of waiting for a day where it's warm so it can dry out quickly and also isn't wet, because I don't obviously want moisture to get into this rust whilst I'm fixing it and then just seal over it, because it will just create rust again. Little other bits, like you've probably noticed these mirrors, they're I believe the reason that they've gone like that is because they're meant to have like auto dimming stuff in them. I'm not sure how it works. This has it as well, but it doesn't work either. So I want to do most of the stuff on this car myself. I want to get the rust repair done pretty soon, so that's probably something I should sort out sooner rather than later. I'm not sure how well that's going to go, given that I'm going to be the one doing it, but we'll see. Obviously these mirrors here, you might have noticed, I believe the reason they've gone like that is because they're meant to be auto dimming, and they've obviously blown because of the age, so I'm just going to put in normal glass in those. The rear view has the same thing, but I don't believe the auto dimming works in it. It is meant to have it, but I've not noticed it working even with this auto button pushed in. So we're going to get those changed, do a bit of paint work here and there. I did a little tester on the XJ8 of it. I just want to put my foot down again. Oh, that's the non-sport gearbox mode, so that was my foot flat. You can see it only went down about 1 gear, so it doesn't give you the full potential of its power. But anyway, that was an example of that. So yeah, bit of paint work, buy some new wheels eventually, and then once I've done all the sort of bits that actually need attention, that's when I'm going to start doing cooler parts to it. I might get some coilovers for it, although I kind of think the look of it now is fine. It is obviously lower than the XJ8, and with the bigger wheels it sort of fits correctly, and the car is quite low to the ground as it is anyway, so I'll have a little think about that. I might not end up changing it, but we will see. The cigarette lighter in here doesn't work, which is a bit annoying, because I can't have me fags, mate, for charging my phone, like when I've just put it somewhere to charge when I'm driving. Bit annoying not being able to do that. And also I can get a little Bluetooth thing that makes its own radio frequency, and then you can connect it on the radio, play your own music. Little things like that, not really necessary, but something on the list that I do want to fix eventually. So I think this car is going to look really nice once it's fully done, but obviously it's got a little bit of a way to go to get to that point. We're going to tint the rear windows again, I think, eventually, but that's also on the list of things to do once I've fixed all these bad parts. So we're coming up to the sort of end of this road, and I think my GoPro is actually telling me that I've been yabbering on for way too long, because it cut out literally just as I said that bit in that last clip. But essentially, to wrap this thing up, it's sick, it's a V8, you can't beat it, it's a Jaguar, and it's really fast. So sort of not much more you could want from a car in my personal opinion, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video and expect to see more of this thing coming up real soon. Ciao.